Have you ever been to a wedding that felt too perfect to be real? I once did, and I'll never forget what happened that night, because the bride and groom never made it to the morning. My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm a wedding photographer, or at least I used to be. I've seen over 100 weddings, tears, laughter, broken heels, and champagne spills, but nothing could have prepared me for the wedding of Daniel and Claire. It was a beautiful spring evening in Vermont, the kind of sunset that paints the sky gold. Claire looked like she had stepped straight out of a dream, calm, radiant, almost too calm. Daniel, the groom, smiled the whole evening, but something in his eyes felt nervous, like he was hiding a storm behind that perfect smile. During dinner, guests whispered about the couple, how fast they'd fallen in love, how Claire had once been engaged to Daniel's best friend, Ethan. I remember hearing someone say, "They look happy now, but some stories never end well." At the time, I brushed it off. People love drama, especially at weddings. But later that night, I realized it wasn't just gossip. It was a warning. The ceremony went perfectly. They said their vows under fairy lights, exchanged rings, kissed. Everyone clapped, everyone smiled. But when the music started and the guests began to dance, Claire suddenly disappeared. At first, everyone thought she just needed a moment alone. But after 10 minutes, then 30, the whispers began again. Maybe she fainted. Maybe she's fixing her makeup. Daniel looked pale. He excused himself and went looking for her. That was the last time anyone saw them together, alive. It was close to midnight when someone screamed near the lake behind the venue. I dropped my camera and ran. There, under the soft glow of the moon, lay Claire's veil floating on the water. And next to it, Daniel's phone, still recording a video. The screen was cracked, but the audio was still playing. It was faint, muffled, but I could hear their voices, Claire crying, Daniel shouting, and then silence. Just the sound of the waves, and one last thing, a whisper, a man's voice saying, "You should have never said yes, Claire." But police came an hour later. They searched the lake, the woods, everywhere. By sunrise, they found both bodies, holding each other, as if in one last embrace. The official story said it was a tragic accident, but I was there, and I heard that whisper. That's why I'm telling this story now, because some weddings end with love, and others end with secrets that refuse to stay buried. It's been 3 years since that night. 3 years since the wedding that turned into a funeral, and yet I still see their faces every time I close my eyes. Claire smiling under the fairy lights, Daniel's trembling hands, and that whisper on the recording. "You should have never said yes, Claire." I left photography after that, but last month I got an email. No sender's name, no message, just a single attachment, a photo. It was one of my pictures from that wedding. Claire standing by the lake, but there was something wrong. Behind her reflection in the water, a shadow. A man's figure, blurry, standing among the trees. I remember that moment vividly. When I took that shot, no one else was near her. At least, that's what I thought. I opened more photos from that night, zoomed in, brightened the shadows, and there he was again. Same silhouette, tall, broad shoulders, watching. Then I noticed something else. In every photo he appeared in, Claire was looking slightly away from Daniel, her eyes fixed on that same spot, as if she knew someone was watching her. My hands were shaking. I checked the old guest list. There was no one matching that figure. He wasn't a guest. He wasn't staff. So who was he? The next morning I went back to the venue. It had been closed for years, overgrown with vines and silence. The lake was smaller now, but the dock was still there, the place where they found them. I took a deep breath and walked closer, and then, just when I thought I was alone, a voice behind me said, "You shouldn't be here." I turned. An old man in a security uniform. His eyes were tired, but knowing. He said quietly, "You're not the first to come back." That wedding, it cursed this place. I asked him what he meant. He sighed, then pointed toward the woods. "That man you saw? He was real. Ethan, the ex-fiancé." My stomach dropped. Ethan, the best friend, the one Claire left to marry Daniel. The guard said Ethan had been seen near the lake that night, drunk, angry, heartbroken. But no one could prove anything. He vanished after the wedding. Police called it an accident, but the locals whispered something else. A jealous ghost doesn't drown. Back at home, I looked again at that final photo, the shadow in the trees. When I adjusted the contrast, I noticed something chilling. In Ethan's hand, there was something metallic, small, sharp, like a knife. The next day, I received one more email. No subject, no name, just a single line of text. "You shouldn't have kept those photos, Evelyn." And that's when I realized whoever sent it was still watching me. I deleted every file I had from that night, but sometimes, in my dreams, I still hear that whisper by the lake. "You should have never said yes, Claire." And when I wake up, I swear I can smell wet grass and perfume. After that last email, I couldn't sleep. Every night felt heavier, quieter, like the air itself was waiting for me to break. I tried to ignore it. I tried to move on, but curiosity is louder than fear. So I went back to my old studio. All my hard drives were gone, except one. The one I'd hidden years ago, labeled Weddings 2018, Claire and Daniel. When I plugged it in, the screen flickered, and a folder appeared that I'd never seen before. It was named Recovered. Inside were 27 video files, each one timestamped from the wedding night. But here's the strange thing. I didn't record videos that night, only photos. I opened the first clip. The camera was shaky, like someone was holding it low to the ground. The angle faced the dance floor. Claire was laughing, Daniel spinning her around. And then, that shadow again, at the edge of the frame. Every clip showed him, Ethan, watching, moving closer each time. And the final video was taken at the lake. It was short, only 10 seconds, but it was enough. The video started with Claire's voice, whispering, "Ethan, please, don't do this." Then Daniel's voice, shouting, "Put it down!" The camera fell. The image went black, but the sound continued. Splash, breathing, a cry, and then the same whisper I'd heard that night, greater than "You should have never said yes." I froze. My hands were trembling. But then, something impossible happened. The screen glitched, and a new video file appeared. Timestamp, today. I hadn't touched the camera. No one had, but the file was real. I clicked it. It showed my studio, right now, empty. Except for one thing. In the reflection of the mirror behind me, a man was standing, tall, broad shoulders, smiling. I turned around, but there was no one, only silence, and the faint smell of wet grass. That's when I noticed something on my desk, a small old wedding ring, still wet. I picked it up. Engraved inside were 2 words, "Forever yours." But the handwriting wasn't Daniel's. It was Ethan's. So here I am, recording this message for you, because if something happens to me, you'll know where to start. Check the lake, check the photos, and if you ever hear someone whisper, "You should have never said yes," run. Because love can end in death, but obsession never dies. It's been 3 days since I found the ring, 3 days since I felt that presence again, and I've barely slept. Every time I close my eyes, I see the lake. I see Claire's veil floating and that shadow behind her. But tonight, something changed. I heard a knock at the door. 3 soft knocks, like someone who already knew I was awake. I hesitated. Then I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. My heart was pounding. I grabbed my phone, started recording. When I opened the door, no one was there. Only a small white box sitting on the porch. It had no name, just a note that said, "For the photographer." Inside the box was an old Polaroid camera and one single photo of me, standing at the lake, taken just yesterday. But I wasn't there yesterday, at least, not that I remember. I checked the back of the photo. Written in black ink were 4 words, "Forever yours, Evelyn Carter." The same handwriting, Ethan's. I dropped the photo, and suddenly the power went out. The house fell into complete silence. Then, through the darkness, I heard my old computer turn on by itself. Its screen flickered, and the same video from before started playing again. Only this time, the reflection in the mirror wasn't empty. It was me, standing behind the camera, smiling, and a voice, my own voice, whispered, "You should have never said yes." I don't remember recording that. I don't remember smiling. But I remember one thing now. That night, after the police took the bodies away, I saw someone else near the lake. Someone wearing my jacket, carrying my camera. And for the first time in years, I wonder, was it really Ethan, or was it me? They say trauma rewires the mind. It hides memories to protect you. But what if it hides the truth? What if the reason I keep dreaming of that whisper is because it was mine all along? So if you're listening to this and you ever find an old photograph, don't look too closely, because sometimes the person behind the camera is the one you should fear the most.